What's up everyone, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John and welcome back to another episode of The Think Tank. This is part 2 to a discussion that we had on quality over quantity in music. This one will focus in on social media and music in the age of said thing, and obviously the fact that we're distracted. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, then tap the card here or else the link in the description of the video. You might find that it's actually quite hard to pay attention to doing one thing when you're constantly flipping around between about 20 different things. If you're attempting to listen to a new album from your favorite artist, and in the process, you're also scrolling through Instagram, texting 3 different people, and maybe even attempting to do other things in the background, perhaps editing photos, playing a game, and whatever else you do on your phone, it's not important. But the fact is that music often takes a back seat in the age of social media. Even 10 years ago, I think that things, including a lot of distractions, weren't as prevalent. It's obvious that's not a profound statement, but the fact holds true that we weren't as distracted back then, so we could actually focus in on maybe the art form that is the album. Even if it's not an album, an EP, a single, whatever, we actually took the time out to listen to music. We weren't doing 20 other things in the process. So in this new age where everybody is distracted or addicted, I think would be the better term, to their phones, their iPads, their devices of some sort, I think that the artist has to try harder, or is forced to try harder, I would say, to actually put themselves out there and give some sort of unique angle, and it puts maybe their presence and personality over the music itself. Whereas before, I think even somewhat in popular music, people did have an image, they always had a look, and there was always some sort of style. But I would say now more than ever, it's almost about the style over the substance, and that trickles into the music video as well. If you think back to the music videos of the decade of the 2000s, you can see that they weren't necessarily taking themselves all that seriously. They were often more fun and more lighthearted, and now everything is so self-serious, and it's a new era, and everybody has to have something to sell you on in order to get you hooked. It's not just the artist. You have to get to know them as a person and be invested in something or a fandom to actually be a part of their music and their trajectory and their career and their takeoff and everything like that. I think that music videos now look at themselves as being a short film and directed by Colin Tilley and all of the lighting and all of the black bars, so it's cropped so you think it's cinematic and you're almost watching a short film. It's definitely different, and it's interesting to see how we've either progressed or else digressed. It's one of two things, and in some ways I feel like we've definitely progressed, and it's easier to get music, you can make things a lot easier, but we also, I feel, rely a little bit too heavily on algorithms, on the lack of the human touch, and that's not just referring to instruments and maybe pop and GarageBand or however else you produce taking over. I feel like we're kind of losing the touch of humanity that says, I'm just going to make whatever I make, and there's not going to be a trend or a market or something else involved telling me exactly what to make and when to put it out, because that's the best time to do so. The sad fact is that we can't just blame the artist for this, because we as people are extremely distracted, myself included. I have to force myself so many times to just set my phone down outside of my studio and say, you know what? I'm not going to be distracted today, so here we go. I almost feel embarrassed to share that, because I, as somebody who reviews music, who is a huge music fan and talks about it, counts it down, ranks it, however you want to look at it. I talk about music. I should be honed in on this, but it's so hard to focus when there are so many other things that people want you to check. And these sites are just as guilty. They want you to check your metrics on YouTube. They want you to see, oh, what is your most played song here? What are you doing over here? Did you get enough likes on this post? Are you sharing enough to Twitter? And it's all just a big distraction from not just music, but from things in general. With this being such a loaded question in many ways, how has social media ruined music? How has it affected music? Maybe how has it affected our listening habits? I decided to extend the question to some of my friends and channels that I know in the music community and the community at large here on YouTube. thank you to all of them for participating and taking on the question of how it's affected them in some ways. Maybe they're listening to music, or maybe just in general with running a YouTube channel. Be sure to check out all of their channels in the description down below, and let's give it away to them.
So, in this whole conversation about social media, I'm going to take a little bit of a different tactic to it. I won't deny that it can be very much distracting to see the increased flow of information that's coming at you nonstop. But I guess for me, like anything else, it's a tool primarily. The ability to have some self-control and set it aside, even despite some of the addictive tendencies built into the application technology itself, that becomes the most important thing. And understanding the parasocial or even social relationships that you cultivate with people online, understanding that there is a distance reinforced by the technology that does enable a certain amount of separation, at least for me. In other words, I don't tend to consider social media the same devil that a lot of people do. A distraction, sure. An addictive distraction, almost absolutely. But hey, if you can set it aside at the right points, go out for a hard run, turn up the tunes, that can be worthwhile.
Hey John, thanks for having me on, brother. So, social media's impact on me as a music listener, just from the strictly physical sense of how you would use it throughout your day, I mean, it is just very distracting. A lot of being able to enjoy music is being present and being in the moment. So, if you're on your phone, if you're distracted, if you're reading, you're not paying attention to the music. There is something absolutely freeing and almost meditative to be able to just kind of let your brain go and just kind of empty yourself in order for the music to fill that spot, if you know what I mean. Alternatively, I mean, just hearing about all of the hubbub from everyone about these new albums that are coming out, it's just like, it almost builds up too much anticipation to the point where it becomes very easy to become disappointed with new releases. That, and do not get me started on toxic fan bases. Slayer.
I think everyone can pretty much agree that social media as a whole is toxic. As being a music influencer, it puts a lot of weight on my shoulders to give the people what they want. When a new song is being released, obviously there's different time zones. Some people are able to hear that song before I'm able to, and seeing what they have to say about it usually warps my opinion on the song because I think I have to have this standard to please my audience. Fandoms have the ability to tear you down if you don't like a particular song, that you're literally the worst fan or a fake fan for having an opinion that isn't that everything that they do is perfect. As a music influencer, that is what we're here for. We're here to critique, to state our opinions. If your opinion doesn't match up with somebody else's, it's like your opinion really doesn't matter, which is total and utter crap. Stay off social media if there's a song coming out. Don't let other people's opinions deter your own, and always stay true to yourself.
Social media has helped me find new music as soon as it comes out, so that's one of the huge benefits for it, because I don't get press releases from every single band as soon as they push something new. However, with social media, people tag it, people post it, reshare it, and that helps me find it really quickly. So that's probably one of the best benefits I've had while reviewing and finding music because of social media. On the opposite side of that, you see all the hate and negativity sometimes when new music comes out. Whether it's a change or something that's not as good as something previous, you hear a lot of hate, you see a lot of just gross comments, but people are going to be like that in every way, in every form of life. You just have to learn how to tune it out. Because the internet is gross in 2019.
Hello there, my name is NateIsLame. I have a messy room and fuck, shit, ass, bitch, butthole. Your video's now demonetized. I'm so sorry, John. Social media is feeding to a nasty case of stan syndrome. Basically, bands are marketing themselves now as Hot Topic merch fuel since nobody's making money from streaming anymore. Every cent comes in from merchandising and touring, so bands need to build a strong sense of loyalty with their fans. Kids are the easiest to manipulate, so they're the prime demographic. Basically, that means that bands are dumbing down their music now and consequently hurting alternative music as a whole. Folks like Crank That Frank are not helping at all. I am not a fan of how deeply entwined social media is with music. Please subscribe to my channel, or else your cat will get kidney failure. Thanks for having me on the show, John. What a cool show you got. Thanks, man.
John, thanks for asking me the question that you asked. I would say that the effect social media has on me as a music listener is that I have to be a whole lot more self-aware. It's not enough for me to just to be like, oh hey, I enjoyed that song. Oh hey, that song sucked, and to not have to give any reason or justification for it or think about it. It's like, it's almost impossible just to enjoy the music, because when you're part of a community of other people talking about it, and then you see other communities who disagree with you or really agree with you or something, you're constantly having to say like, okay, who am I? Who are my people? How am I supposed to think about it? What's the vocabulary, the way I'm supposed to speak about these songs? You're constantly comparing your musical taste, and you're perception of songs to how other people enjoy them, which I think is sad, because I think one of the really cool things about music is being able to get lost in it.
Personally, I've been using social media in a way that I guess is not how it's supposed to be used, and that's simply in the same way as when you put on headphones and have a conversation with someone. You speak, but you don't listen. And in a lot of ways, it's tough to create content and at the same time follow along with what everyone else is doing. It's definitely easier to keep up with content, with what's going on socially, but it's also really difficult to keep up with everyone and to follow along with feedback.
This isn't sponsored, but I use a music visualizer called Kauna, Kauna, on Windows. It's something that you can set to your system, and it has a lot of different things that you can cycle through. It helps kind of visualize the music. You remember the old iTunes visualizer? Well, not a ton of people use iTunes, and maybe not everybody has Apple Music, so this is definitely something that's worked for me. It can kind of help you focus in and say, I'm going to listen to this Radiohead album, or I really want to hear what Hozier has to say on his new release. And that's exactly what I find myself doing. I cut the distractions and I actually focus in. And whether that be laying in bed with a pair of headphones on or sitting in front of a visualizer to kind of help bring the music to life, I do think that it helps in a big way. I'll extend the question to you guys, the music fans out there. Do you find yourself having a hard time separating your time between Instagram and actually just listening to the music, or maybe scrolling through something, pausing the album 20 times in the process? Or do you have a set process for yourself and you're actually just sitting down and saying, okay, tonight is the night that I'm going to listen to these new albums that I've been meaning to get to for the longest time, and I'm just going to put away the distractions. I'm going to put my laptop down, turn off the TV, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and listen to this. Let me know what works for you and what do you think about social media, distraction, and everything like that in the comment section down below. And if there's other discussions that you'd like to see me have on the Think Tank in the future, then leave a topic down below. Thanks a lot for watching this discussion today. Please tune in to part 1 if you didn't see it already. You can check that out here. Quality versus quantity in music. Check out another discussion I had on the Think Tank over here. All of my socials and all of the channels that were a part of this video today are linked in the description down below, and I'll see you soon for more on Beyond ARTV.